Hey guys, welcome to my second video. So this is gonna be my second video out of a series that I'm making based on my interview with Felipe Zapata, who is an associate professor at UCLA. This is the second one, and basically this video is going to be focusing on success. It's also going to be focusing on failure and why it's so important in science, different perspectives on success, what important people in the field think of when they think of the term success, because it might not be what you're thinking exactly. And we're also going to be talking about I'm also going to be showing clips from my interview about balance, how important it is to also have a balance to succeed and in your applications. So it's going to be just like last time. I'm going to show you guys clips from my interview which relate to these subjects, and you guys can just take what you want and actively listen. So kind of like related to that, how have other type of failures set you up for success?
Or failures. Wow, that's a good one. I think that science in itself is full of failures, and sometimes people who are not in science believe that it's not. People who are outside of science believe that science is this kind of amazing experiments that we do, and then we publish these papers, and all the experiments work amazing and so on. But it's not. Actually, there's a lot of failures along the way, a lot of mistakes and problems that you have, and you have to overcome those problems on a daily basis. So either in the field, either in the lab, either in the computer, anywhere. So as a grad student, for example, I planned long field expeditions to different places to look for plants that I was studying, and then showing up to one of those places after spending a lot of time getting the money, getting grants to be able to travel, and then showing up in a place and not finding the plants. So then what you do? So that already sort of sets you in a kind of in an alarm mode that you have to figure something out really quickly. Otherwise, you will fail your whole trip. So that opens your creativity and forces you to think right away on your feet. What can you do, and so on and so forth. In the lab, the same. When I came back to the US to do all the genetic work that I was doing, the same. You do DNA work, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you try to extract the DNA and it fails. You lose it. And if you don't come up with solutions, creative solutions right away, then the whole thing will fail. So you have to design a new protocol and think about the issues and so on. So I think that the whole process of science in itself is full of failures and challenges that actually help you prepare for those, and actually force you to think creatively about how to solve problems right away. Otherwise, you will sink, because science is full of challenges and really, really difficult to plan something that is going to work perfectly well, and most likely it's not going to work. So you have to be open to failure the whole time, and be able to change protocols and things along the way. And when you read a paper, a scientific paper, or even a book, you read it and it sounds like, oh my God, this is perfect. These people did this experiment and everything was amazing. Everything worked perfectly well. Or in the book, they tell a story, and it's actually quite the contrary. It's to get to that point where, well, the story makes sense. Likely were years of work, years of failures, experiments that failed, repeated experiments, papers where the data was not very clean, a second paper where the data was much better, and so on and so forth. So I think that being a scientist is actually a good exercise to overcome those fears of failure, because what we do is prone to failure the whole time.
Exactly. Every single failure is kind of like you're learning something new and you're getting closer to success in a way. So that's a big part, obviously,
Yeah,
of science.
yeah.
Thank you. Um, so this is moving the questions in a different route, but I still think it's an interesting question. So, what purchase of $100 or less have you made like in the last month that has made like the most, or in the last 6 months that has made
Okay.
like the most positive impact on you?
Okay, so
$100 or less.
wow, $100 or less. I would say, I think that this is not necessarily related to my work in
Uh-huh.
specifically, but is related to something else that I do, which is that I like to run in the mornings. So I bought a new hat that really changed my running. So basically, getting a new hat that I didn't have before. has forced me to go back to running. I had stopped running for a while because I had like a knee injury, but getting my hat again, and I actually also bought new running shoes, but they are more expensive than 100. But that actually is helping me a lot because when I run, actually, it's a good time for me to think. When I run, I am the whole time kind of thinking about my projects and proposals, and even if I am writing a paper. When I run, I think about the ideas that I want to come back and write. So I go for a run, then come back home, and I sit down and write a few ideas that came to my mind. So running for me, it's like a good therapy to clear my mind, but also a good therapy to think a lot. And it's also nice. I like running here in LA. It's a good weather to run the whole year. So I really like running.
Yes, thank you for kind of like emphasizing that balance because like as you said, like doing something that could be like relaxing and obviously like therapeutic for you, like as you're doing that, you're also like helping setting your mind up for like new ideas that maybe like you wouldn't have if you were just like burnt out like working all the time. So kind of like related to that, like how this is kind of like a hard question, but like how would you like when you think of success, what do you think of like generally? Like is there a certain person that when you think of success like you think about and it doesn't have to be in science just like
Mm.
when you think of successful what do you think about?
Yeah, when I think about success, perhaps what comes to my mind is somebody who has achieved what they are set their goals to be, regardless of what they are. Could be in sports, could be in industry, could be a scientist, could be in arts. But I think that people who have like a goal or some specific goals in mind, and have like dreams to achieve something, and they do it with hard work and opportunities and serendipity, whatever. And I think that's to me what successful in many ways means, is that somebody who
Mm.
has a clear idea of where they want to go, and they achieve it in many ways. That's the first thing that comes to my mind about success and being successful. Of course, there's all dimensions to being successful. I mean, or people are really successful even without clear goals, and they sort of are just moving around, and suddenly they become very successful in what they do. But I really appreciate people who have like very clear goals and really clear ideas and aspirations, and they achieve those, whatever field those might be.
Mm-hmm. And they don't necessarily have to be like huge goals like in the beginning, like they can be like small goals and small goals lead you maybe possibly to a like bigger goal that you might
Yeah,
have.
exactly. Like the success could be, I don't know, for example, finishing high school. That's one of your goals, is
Mm-hmm.
to be able to
Yeah.
succeed and finish high school. Because for some people, maybe high school is even already challenging to attend high
Mm.
school. And if that's one of your goals and you're successful finishing, that's amazing. And then your next goal perhaps is going to uh, university or going to college, and then apply to a couple of colleges, and your goal is to go to X or Y college because of whatever reason. And then if you achieve it because you work hard to sort of make the connections to get there, and work hard into whatever you need, that's amazing. Or if you are a sports person and one of your goals is, I don't know, to run a marathon, and you work for that, you have to train, and suddenly you run your first marathon, and that's really successful for in that way as well. So I feel that the success doesn't have to be like the end line. It could be these small
Mm.
successes that can lead to bigger things in life.
Yes, thank you. So those were the clips, more like clip that I found the most helpful relating to success, relating to failure in science, and relating to balance. So in these clips, Felipe talked a lot about like failure, why it's so important in science, kind of like the specific challenges he faced, why it's so important to kind of like get used to the idea of failure, to get comfortable with it, especially if you're going to be entering science, especially why you want to get yourself in these positions so you can kind of talk about it in your applications, as this is an important value in science and people want to see that you have the qualities needed to succeed in the field. It relates to practicing under pressure and thinking creatively, which is also really important to get used to. In the interview, we also talked a bit about balance. He talked about how he likes to run and how it helps him think and get new ideas. So again, kind of emphasizing how you can't just work all the time and burn yourself out, because then you can't gain those new ideas and think with a clear head. We also talked about like goals as well as success, how in order to be successful, you don't necessarily have to have this big ambitious goal and succeed it right away. You have small goals, and actually it's more recommendable to have small goals as it's easier to fulfill them and get to your bigger goal ultimately. Always make sure to like and subscribe, share with people that you think would be interested, and I'll be back in 2 weeks with another video.